All right. Good evening,
Yeah, you're
everyone.
live.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Welcome to the May 18th NSA Ad Hoc meeting. Myself and the IG are here tonight. We may have one or two other folks joining us. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We'll go over the agenda. So this is our agenda for tonight. So in regards to the timeline there at the top, we're submitting the CMC statement to the city attorney's office tomorrow morning by 9 a.m. And then the actual CMC itself is on the 27th, which is next Thursday at 3 p.m. or 3:30. I believe it's 3 p.m. In San Francisco. People can join via Zoom, or you're welcome to go in person. But that's pretty much where we're at with that. In between, then we may informally, not via a meeting, but discuss, like some talking points for the event itself. We've done that in the past, but it's basically up to the chair whether or not that's going to be helpful for him to do that for this CMC. But that's where we're at in terms of the timeline moving forward. So the next thing we'll discuss is our CMC statement draft. It's pretty much the final version right now. There may be like some final tweaks or edits between now and tomorrow morning. Um, but this is basically it. Our statement. Um, IG, is it helpful for me to read through it, or how what's easy for you?
I think it would be helpful to read through it. I did have some questions on the OIG part that,
Okay.
um, but let's read through it. It's been a minute since I looked at it.
Okay. All right. So it starts off as detailed in its last case management statement section, the Oakland Police Commission's proposal for the best suited transition structure to facilitate sustained compliance is to work collaboratively with the Oakland Police Department and the City of Oakland leadership towards compliance for the remainder of the three outstanding sustainability tasks, while building the Commission's capacity to maintain long-term local civilian oversight for the remainder of the negotiated settlement agreement. The current charter structure vests the Commission with the autonomy, capacity, and connection to Oakland community, I think it should say to the Oakland community, to drive the kind, let me put that in one moment.
And real quick, you said the three outstanding tasks. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to keep that at three, or are we now down to two?
Now, I think we're going to keep it with the three. Hold on, I'll get right back to that in a second. Trying to remember where.
Chair said he's going to try to join in 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Now, IG, you were saying.
Well, I see it's a sustainability task, so it makes sense to
Okay.
keep it at three.
Okay. All right. In connection to the Oakland community to drive the kind of results that can hasten an NSA exit and ensure sustainable compliance with the final outstanding tasks. The Commission welcomes future discussions and working collaboratively with the City to identify a transition of duties to ensure that the Commission has a sufficient amount of transition time during which both the Compliance Director and the independent monitoring team can work directly with and share its institutional knowledge with the body that will ultimately take over oversight, which is us. In preparation for stepping into a robust post-NSA reform oversight role, the Commission spent the last monitoring reporting period focused on this court's stated emphasis that sustained compliance with the terms of the NSA necessitates a change in the culture of the Oakland Police Department. The Commission first took the opportunity to elaborate on this important concept in its January 20th case management statement, when it emphasized three factors critical to accomplishing cultural change. One, the Commission's continued effective and productive relationships with key city and community stakeholders, including OPD and an independent OIG. Two, ensuring an intentional plan for the transfer of certain IAD investigations to CPRA and further standardizing the the disciplinary process. And 3, the city's commitment to the long-term fiscal stability of the OPC's independent civilian oversight structure. What remains important to emphasize is that the Commission's charter authorities, adopted by the overwhelming majority of residents in 2016 and again in 2020, which we're talking about measures LL and S1, are designed to empower the Commission to serve as a singular, community-led, civilian oversight entity, uniquely positioned to instill the kind of cultural change that will ensure the Department's sustainable compliance. As the Court and the NSA parties rightly focus on the 3 outstanding reform tasks whose satisfaction will earn the City of Oakland resolution of court oversight, the Commission continues the work of preparing a solid foundation to step in and function as the primary police oversight mechanism for Oakland once the Department reaches compliance with and exit from the NSA. Substantial progress on chief appointment. During the most recent monitoring period, the Commission made substantial progress in conducting its charter outline community process for vetting applicants for a new permanent chief in a way that only civilian oversight uniquely empowered under the charter can achieve. The Police Commission hosted 6 community forums across Oakland, received nearly 200 surveys outlining what residents want to see in the next chief, and, once informed with that feedback, completed interviews with all applicants. It will soon relay a list of select candidates to the mayor, which will enable the city to proceed with the chief who will lead the next chapter of OPD's work. Exercising charter authorities to advance comprehensive police reform in Oakland. In parallel track with ensuring timely compliance with its charter role in appointing a new chief, the Commission has continued to engage in comprehensive policy work that showcases its uniquely tailored role in driving cultural change and broader police reform to better ensure constitutional policing in Oakland. Strategic plan for officer wellness. As one of several vital broad scope reform responsibilities vested in the Commission pursuant to the City Charter and the City Council's enabling ordinance, the Commission shall review and comment on the education and training the Department provides its sworn employees regarding the management, job-related stress, and regarding the signs and symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, drug and alcohol abuse, and other job-related mental and emotional health issues. To this end, the Mental Health and Wellness Committee has developed a draft wellness strategic plan. The Wellness Strategic Plan demonstrates the Commission's role in establishing a coordinated, trauma-informed approach to strengthening the health, resilience, and effectiveness of OPD personnel, founded on the principle that the officer and staff wellness is fundamental to public safety. It envisions the Commission's role in developing a trauma-informed systems approach that recognizes, 1, the cumulative impact of trauma exposure on officers that conduct police work, and 2, the role of organizational culture, leadership, and training in shaping public safety outcomes. In conjunction with the plan, the Commission will issue a formal request for information about officer health and wellness priorities, then leverage the information it receives to craft recommendations to strengthen workforce well-being and public safety. This work represents one of several ways in which the Commission exhibits what is possible with civilian oversight of policing. We're also working on 2 other policies, but that's good enough. MOU recommendations. When the Commission, for its charter authority, proposes changes to department policies, those modifications are often subject to collective bargaining constraints. To proactively coordinate its policy suggestions with the City of Oakland and its labor partners, the Commission expects to soon present its and community's priority areas to the City Council for consideration. These areas will offer the City the opportunity to seek to better align collective bargaining agreements with constitutional policing best practices and the remaining NSA tasks. Follow up on J4, which is the pursuit policy, and M19, which is the profiling and bias policy, as well as community policing and sexual harassment policies. The Commission also anticipates working alongside OPD on significant policies in the immediate near term, including sexual harassment policies pertaining to sworn officers' public interactions, to supplement the city's up-to-date staff-to-staff sexual harassment policies, voluntary pursuits of suspects, racial profiling, and community policing. Thank you for joining us, Ricardo. We're just reading through the statement. Continued constructive engagement. In the spirit of collaboratively exercising its charter role, on February 26th of this year, the Commission deliberated and voted to ensure the Department was promptly granted a waiver to allow for a limited exemption of the reporting requirements of DGO MO3, which is about complaints against departmental personnel or procedures. For personnel who participate in the qualitative study on the internal affairs process, the Commission notes that the monitor lauded the Department's effort as putting energy and commitment into its effort to achieve compliance with Task 5. The Community Police Review Agency. As the Court knows, the Commission's charter role is broader than overseeing the Department. The Commission supervises the work of and serves as the hiring entity that selects the Department leaders for the Community Police Review Agency and for the Office of the Inspector General. Both offices have engaged in capacity building and continued preparation for the post-NSA era, in which they will play enhanced roles in ensuring OPD sustains constitutional policing practices. Increased staffing and capacity. With last year's budget increase for CPRA, the agency will be able to increase staffing from 7 permanent employees to 15 to 17 permanent employees. CPRA is currently soliciting applicants for 2 to 4 complaint investigator positions, for which the agency plans to hire in June-July timeframe. CPRA's improved budget has also enabled the agency to hire a managing investigator in October 2025 and a project manager in February. CPRA's new project manager will manage, track, and report data relating to police oversight. This vital work will enhance effective case and document management in order to better enable CPRA to identify and monitor trends, practices, and incidents. In addition, CPRA is contracting with 2 independent attorneys to augment the agency's investigation capabilities. The new staff will have a significant on CPRA's ability to finalize investigations within the NSA's 180-day timeline. Looking to the next year of budgetary allocations, CPRA's goal is to reach a full staff of 17 permanent employees. This includes an executive director, deputy director of investigations, staff attorney, administrative analyst, project manager 2, or 2 of them, and complaint investigator 3s. 7 of
Is that
those.
2 complaint investigator 3s?
Yeah, 7 complaint investigator 3s, 3 complaint investigator 2s, and, or no, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. 7 complaint investigator 2s and 3 intake specialists. A fully staffed CPRA will prove integral to police oversight and accountability and continued fulfillment of the NSA goals. Mediation program. CPRA has long been hard at work with the Commission, OPD, and community partners to design and implement its own mediation program. With the first mediation expected to occur quite soon, the mediation program was first codified in Open City Ordinance 13498 in 2018. Following significant engagement with stakeholders and policy efforts, on September 25th of last year, CPRA presented and the Commission unanimously approved the mediation program's policies and procedures. The mediation program provides open residents who have submitted complaints against sworn officers with the opportunity to meet and discuss their complaints in an open, non-confrontational environment. Grounded in the concept of restorative justice, the program is geared not toward reaching specific determinations or findings, but is instead designed to allow the community and OPD to come together for cooperative discussions, thereby furthering communication and cooperation between the Oakland community and OPD. This program represents a capstone of significant police reform work by CPRA in the City of Oakland more broadly. Transition of OPD internal affairs investigations to CPRA. In cooperation with the City Administrator's Office, CPRA is working to establish a task force to evaluate the feasibility of transitioning IAB duties to CPRA. The task force will build on an official consultant's report that was funded by City Council in 2023 and completed in April of last year. Transitioning certain departmental investigative duties to CPRA will enhance independent oversight of policing while reducing costs to the city. All right, now we get to the IG section. Office of the Inspector General, improving operational practices. The Office of the Inspector General continues to work toward improving OPD's and CPRA's operational practices and adhering to charter mandated requirements with current projects, including policy review and assessment of DGO I-12, compliance audit of NSA Task 4789, 11, 13, and 34, audit of OPD and CPRA regarding specific closure of discrimination complaints. In addition to its current oversight projects, the OIG seeks to enhance understanding and conduct risk assessments of administrative processes by attending Officer Skelly hearings, bi-weekly meetings with the Chief of Police regarding CID and internal affairs updates, probably want to change that to IAB, weekly IAB discipline meetings, independent monitoring team site visits, and OPD trainings, to name a few areas. Did you want to provide any feedback on that since we're on that section, IG, or are you good with that?
Yeah, well, I wanted to provide a little bit of feedback. The way it's written is fine. However, reading this doesn't show the court what we have done. Only what, well, kind of, when we talked about attending Scully hearings and bi-weekly things, but as far as past policy reviews and things like that, I don't know, is it important to show that we are established and that we've already been conducting some of the things that we're mandated to conduct? Or the way it's written is more focusing on, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that type of thing.
Yeah, well, I think it's fine to leave it like it is. I don't think you have to go over everything that you've been doing in the past, or everything you've done since the last CMC. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. I think it's fine like it is. I don't think, we don't have like a requirement to report everything that we've done unless we think it's going to help one of the arguments that we're trying to make here, which is basically those three things that we discussed initially. Or unless you want to call something out that you think is
No,
compliant.
I definitely don't want to do that. But I was just thinking, and I was talking to my staff about it too,
Well,
and we're
like,
like, well,
what were you thinking about including?
The three policy review DGO 01, 01.1, and I think is I-25 are the three recent policy reviews we completed.
What section is I about again? I forget. What are those?
I-25 is unmanned aerial um,
Oh,
craft.
drones.
Yes.
You did the drones. You did the ALPRs. I think that's mentioned in here. Um, Unless it was something that like the court had mandated OPD to create, like the
Mhm.
armored vehicles policy or something like that. I don't think you. Yeah, I think it's fine. Or like
Okay.
dedicated arrest teams, or yeah, I don't think those don't fall in that category to me. Unless you
That's
feel really
understandable.
strongly about it, you can propose it.
Yeah, no, I don't feel really strongly about it. I just wanted to basically just bring it up for discussion. I just wanted to, you know, almost in a sense show, and I don't know if it's necessary or not, that we have been monitoring OPD and this is how we've done it with the policy reviews and things like that. Um,
Okay.
but yeah,
Um,
just
let's
open for discussion.
let's see here. What else did we mention? Policy review and assessment of DGO I-12. You could say of DGO. You could say of OPD policies. For example, DGO I-12, something like that. Or if you
It's
wanted to add a bullet item talking about those other I section policies, did you want to do that? Just one bullet point.
um
This
that's what I
is
was
all.
more
This is all
inclined
in
to
the
do.
future, though. I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah, this is all what you're going to do in the future. Is that what your point was?
That's my point. Yeah, all this is current projects.
Hmm.
So if the court says, well, what have the OIG, what has the office done?
Are you
So
going to be
does it,
there?
yes. Yeah,
Well, I think if that happens, then you can give Chair like some talking points to speak to that, or maybe he would invite you to the mic to say something about what you've done.
that's fair enough. I mean, it's fine. I just wanted to kind of point that out to see if that was something like, is it intentional that we want to leave out something that we've done? Was it already talked about, or is it
I
just
don't
people
remember.
just
Was that stuff in here before?
no? It was in my draft, but I
Oh
know,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, and we did talk about including everything that was in those drafts, but I guess it got edited out. I wasn't a part of the last edit, to be honest with you. I don't
Would
have
it
I don't have
be,
a problem with how it's written. I'm just saying. Um, you're gonna say something, Chair? Are you trying to say something?
yeah, sorry, I'm crossing the bridge. I don't know how spotty my signal is, but if there's things that the IG that you have done, I mean, I don't know why. I don't think it'll hurt adding one bullet point that just lists those out, right? Um, I see in this section it's upcoming things. Is there a place that we could stick stuff that was concluded already? Or in this bullet point of three things, we put a bullet point as the first one that just says completed review of those policies and just list those out. And then the next three are upcoming future things that are happening.
So the way I would like it to be, and this is obviously you guys' statement, but in the very beginning it says the Office of Inspector General, and then I'd put has completed blah 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 and continues, and then it goes on to just
Perfect.
work towards etc.
Perfect. That's fine. I don't think a small amendment like that, I don't think hurts.
Okay. Well, why don't you write something up, IG, and then put it in an email, and hopefully Tina can change it tonight before the document's submitted.
Okay, will
That
do.
sounds that sound good to you?
Yeah, because it's not major. It's literally just adding to that first sentence, and I think that's fine.
I'll
I
give
think
her
that
a
sounds
heads
good.
up. I'll give her a heads up that some changes are going to be coming her way.
Okay. All right. And just to make it easy for you to find, if this is we're on page, where are we? Oh well, it's like the second to last paragraph before the conclusion. Okay. All right. Moving forward, strengthening outreach and academic partnerships, along with intensive outreach activities to foster engagement with the community. The OIG has sought to build strong partnerships with local academic institutions to provide research, expertise, and community-focused perspectives into the work of the OIG. The OIG is currently partnered with UC Berkeley School of Law, Samuelson Law, Technology and Public Policy Clinic, UC Berkeley Criminal Law and Justice Center, Northeastern University Oakland Campus, UC Berkeley Public Service Center, and Cal State East Bay, and the Center for Youth Development through Law. Conclusion. The Police Commission commends the Department's progress documented in the 12th NSA Sustainability Period Report of the Independent Monitor, which further underscores the strength in our city's partnership, and we look forward to thoughtful engagement with all stakeholders to collectively ensure a near-term future when the Police Commission's charter role will take center stage in ensuring the department's ongoing compliance after its exit from court monitorship. And that's that. That's the end of the statement. Any other thoughts? Did Ricardo drop off? Looks like he did. Okay, IG, do you have any other thoughts on that?
I don't. I think it looks very well written and it looks good.
Yeah, I feel good about it too. Um, and unfortunately, looks like Ricardo got disconnected, maybe because he's driving across the bridge or something. I'm not sure. Um, but hopefully he can join us. Well, I know he's okay with it because he and Katina went over this and finalized it to this point. Um, and I have no additional thoughts on the document. I really appreciate all the hard work put in by those two and everyone coming to this meeting. You and Director Lawson providing the feedback ahead of time so that we can get this done. We had a lot going on over the past couple of months with basically 3 projects that we were working on concurrently. It was a heavy lift getting all that stuff done on time. The one thing that we had put in here that I'm not sure why that got taken out, but it's not a deal breaker for me whether it's in here or not, is about redoing the OPD template. Um, but it's not a showstopper. I don't think it's gonna like a deal breaker whether or not OPD gets out from under compliance or the judge loses, confidence in us to be able to do our job if, one thing isn't mentioned. So, but I thought that was a really good thing to have in here. But yeah, it's just a really good thing for us to do anyway. So that's my only feedback as far as what's in the statement. Anything else? IG, do you have any other thoughts?
Um, no, but can you do me a favor while we're looking at this page right here? What is
Mm-hmm.
the paragraph right above the Office of Inspector General, above it?
Let's see. Well, it's at the top of the last page.
Okay. Oh,
But
I see. That's the beginning.
yeah,
I see.
but the
Okay.
name of the other paragraph is this transition of OPD internal affairs investigation to CP. It's the CPRA section.
Got you. Right. So it'd be the section improving operational practices. But other than that, I don't have any other suggestions at this time.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And then I'm going to bring up the agenda. All right. So we went over the statement. We're a little ahead of time. Um, the OPD template. That's basically the next thing on our agenda. Just really quickly, only thing I was going to say about that is um, OPD it appeared to me at our last meeting that they felt pretty comfortable with it, that it just needed some fine tuning. And the next steps are that Ricardo is going to get with DC Osmus to do that fine tuning, and then we'll bring it back to the commission to hopefully finalize it at the next meeting. And then same thing with the opioid MOU, maybe one person or a couple of people just wanted to look at some things again really quickly, and then we'll bring it back to the commission to hopefully finalize that. And that should be that on those two, but there's no requested edits or anything like that that need to be done. So there's nothing really to review that would be new. And that's all I have to say about that. That's the work of the NSA Ad Hoc over the past since February, March, April, almost 4 months. And for us to produce all those documents, I think is a good, very good work done by us collectively. The opioid MOU proposal letter, I really appreciated the feedback that you provided, IG, in terms of I didn't put 2 and 2 together about how the monitoring of the internal affairs tasks will shift from OPD to CPRA. I just hadn't thought of it in that context yet. And I thought that was like some really substantive input. So I just want to thank you for that. And after I looked at those specific ones that we always talk about, and then went through that the table and saw how many others were internal affairs related, it added up to 40% of the overall task. So I think that was a really good learning experience for me. And I think that's a really good learning experience for anyone that reviews that document. That's good information to know. It shows how much uh, the city and the department will benefit by doing that recommendation to get through the IAD to CPRA transition as soon as possible. Um, so that's all I have about those two. Ricardo, it looks like you're back. We just were going over everything that we've done over the really like 3.5 months, the three things that we produced for the commission to consider: the CMC statement, the MOU proposal letter, and the OPD template. I was saying that I thought it was helpful to have how we worked on the OPD template and the CMC statement, but it's not a deal breaker or anything to me, and how the next steps were that we got good feedback from OPD, and that the next steps were for you to get with DC Osmus to fine tune it, and then we're going to present it to the commission again at our next meeting. Same thing with the proposal letter. Do you have anything to add, Ricardo?
No, but thank you for that. I do think I got to check my notes, but the only thing I could remember, what I do remember from OPD's, the initial concerns that they brought up with the template, felt like there was information that we were requesting regarding the IG and CIPRA that they felt that we could get from IG and CIPRA reports, and that
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want to necessarily have to be the ones reporting information that those offices were gathering. I'm not sure if I gotta check my notes. I'm not sure exactly how she framed it. I don't know if you remember that part of the discussion.
Yeah, no, no, thank you. I forgot that she said that. I think what she said was about the section you're referring to, the discipline section, basically, is that she wasn't sure whether or not we could disclose all that information publicly. And then I was telling her how this is what Director Lawson put in there, so I guess he feels that we can do it in a way to where we don't break confidentiality, but that is something to discuss with them. But other than that, I felt like I think the only thing she said was that it needs to be fine tuned. We were on the right track, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And then once we get that, I mean, I think we're supposed to bring that feedback back to the ad hoc, and then at that point there was even discussions about maybe even reformatting it again once we have agreement. I just didn't when I think the initial sentiment of wanting to keep the original format was just so that commissioners, because we don't get a chance to talk to them all the time, just so that they and OPC could see what we took out and what we added and how it didn't really change it much. Um, and then from there, if there's aesthetically, if there's better way we could format moving forward and have it be a nicer format or an easier thing to report on. Oh, and the other thing that she had called out was there might be certain things that we write in there, quarterly or annually, where the updates are at. So we might have to just work on some just fine tuning the formatting as well too. But it looks like we're pretty close to that, to getting to a final draft.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything that you said. I'm trying to think back to the meeting, specifically what was said about all that stuff. Um, yeah, the
Think what
format.
Ricardo is, what Chair is talking about is she just wanted to make sure that they're not doing duplicative work.
Oh, yeah, right.
Exactly. If they need to get that information from or give it to CIPRA and or IG, they don't want to have to give it to multiple sources,
Got it.
essentially.
Yeah, no, that's
That makes
exactly what
sense.
she said. Thank you for saying that, Micah. And then the other thing that she said, kind of on that point, was this. Well, not on that point, but the feedback that she gave was about she has nothing, doesn't have an issue with reporting out on where they're at with any IG related audits in the future. Um, but she was a little unsure of exactly what we wanted her to say, and she didn't want that to be duplicated. So, IG, I don't know. How would you put it in your words exactly what you would like them to report out to us on the IG audits? Is there anything specific, or you're muted?
I apologize about that. Yes. So we just need cooperation. We need a timeline.
Okay.
We need something in writing that says when someone says we're going to get to it after the CMC, 2030 is after the CMC. I
Mhm.
don't know what that means. So if we get something, a timeline, and that's not only my request, but that's the auditor's request, our
Yeah.
contractor as well. So for me, it would be something in writing on exactly when they can dedicate time for us.
No, I hear you there. But I think her question was when they do get around to and start doing it and start doing the report outs, when they report out to the commission,
Oh, I see.
are there any specific like high level points that you want to make sure that they include in the report out?
Um, hmm. Well, it's hard to say right now because we're still trying to tackle on this audit. So it would be nice to report on the status of the audit.
Okay.
But
But for
other
now,
than
we're
that, you know, um,
well,
um,
I hear you. For now, we can just say on the template, it's just the status of any audits, basically.
I agree.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Well, that makes sense. And then once we get into the actual discussion, maybe we can fine tune it or just communicate to her specific things we're looking for if we even need to do that.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, like a brief overview of where they're at with any audit makes sense to me. Any findings, corrective actions, that's what I would think that they would discuss.
Well, they wouldn't be able to discuss any findings until the conclusion of the audit.
Okay.
But any ongoing um, issues they may have
Hmm.
with the audit or problems they have with getting documents or anything that if that shows that they are working specifically with the Inspector General's office, collaborating with how are you collaborating with the audit,
Okay.
basically.
So
Anything.
challenges, how they're collaborating with you, and any next steps on those two topics, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Micah?
You know
Yeah,
what?
I do a really quick
Oh, I'm
question
sorry.
for Zervan and Omar and Chair. Zervan, report to the commission every other month. Would that cadence be like every other month when they would do that? I don't think it would be every meeting. What would you prefer like the cadence to be for those types of updates?
Mhm.
Yeah, good question. But
That is a good question. Very good
I
question.
well, let me jump in real quick because I think that's what I was going to offer. Um, what if we looked at the cadence being as IG, you do the audits, you give us updates on where they're at with the audit gets complete. Let's say there's findings. Now, OPD's job is to report on what they're doing to rectify and course correct those findings to us. So
Mhm.
maybe it's as it pertains to IG and the audits, your office reports on what you guys are working on, how it's going, and timings of reports of either certain tasks you're looking at, when those are going to end, and then what are the next ones you're going to look at, or discussions around future ones. And then once those close, you have some findings, or even like policy reviews, like when you did policy review of task three. Um, then on an ongoing basis, OPD is reporting back on what they're doing to course correct or to work with your office to get into good standing in those areas that were already called out. So maybe it won't be something that they report on right away until the first audit's done. And then as you are taking on new tasks, or would you not move on to new audits until they close out and course correct any findings that they have on the current ones? How do you think that'll work?
No,
I'm
we
just,
would.
I guess what I'm
We,
trying to think out loud is given the same subset, even if it's the same subset of audits tasks, what information is valuable for us to get from your office that's different than information that we would get from OPD that's different? You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I wouldn't want you guys reporting on the same information. So it's like I guess that's what I was just trying to tease out loud in my brain of like, all right, once the IG finishes an audit and then has certain recommendations, then at that point, we're no longer hearing from you about those audit tasks. Now it switches to OPD and we're hearing from them what they're doing to work towards progress, you know?
Yeah, Chair, you hit it on the nail. Actually, that's a very good point because we have our recommendations tracker, and that recommendations tracker is really what OPD should be reporting out. These are the recommendations. Did we comply? Did we accept them? Are we moving forward to following the recommendations tracker? And I think that is probably the best use of both our time to see what's going on and OPD's time. And that way, it's definitely not reduplicating the same type of
Yeah,
information. It's more like, well, this is what the recommendations were. These are considerations, and this is how we're responding to those recommendations and considerations. And then once
exactly.
that's completed, by then we'll be on to the next audit, and then we just keep doing the same thing. We report out on the audit, they report out on how they're um, complying with the recommendations or their response to the recommendations and considerations. Good point. I appreciate that.
Excellent, excellent points made. Ricardo, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's it in regards to that. And I know just the timing of kicking off that cadence is all funky right now. And I think I caught the tail end of asking something in writing. So even in this stalemate as it stands right now, then we're like, okay, you're reporting that you're still being patient and you're waiting, and we need to know realistically how we can get this thing going. And then we continue now to follow up with OPD and writing and timelines and like nudging them along in their efforts to comply and to course correct if needed.
Okay. All right. And then the only other thing that I think we discussed on that topic that we haven't talked about is taking out the table that talks about administrative leave and all that stuff that doesn't really uh, apply to the commission, so to speak, um, and maybe following up on some of those topics as an agenda item at at a future meeting. Maybe we talk about maybe those are ideas for agenda items to discuss annually or biannually. Maybe some of them are quarterly. I don't know. But I think we're on the right track. And I think this is really good progress because initially, and I'll go to you, Ricardo, initially, uh, the police commission years ago really hard at OP to stop just coming and presenting crime statistics. That's what they used to just present to
Yeah, I
us.
remember.
And OPD and OPC to be like, well, that's not really in our job description. So they put together this template, and I feel like we're just trying to fine tune it to make it as applicable to us as possible. So I think this is really worthwhile work to do. Ricardo?
Um, yeah, I think, following conversations with DC Osmis, we'll hopefully have some recommendations on how to fine tune some of this stuff. Um, I think with the admin leave, this might be a good example of maybe the sweet spot is we leave it on there, but then we signal or we mark it as a data point that only gets updated quarterly or something like that. And they don't report back on it or have to update those numbers every meeting, something like that. I would hate to, I think that's the perfect example of we don't need to, the numbers might not change all the time. They might not need to report on it every meeting, but I would hate to eliminate those data points entirely because I think when we're looking at how many officers are on admin leave, it's an indicator on like how arbitration's going. It's an indicator on are sworn officers being used for investigations versus being on the streets. I mean, I think there's just like it's an indicator of if we're down 100 officers from the operational force because the admin leave is so high because everybody's arbitrating their cases or filing grievances, then we'll be able to see that in those numbers. Um, and then that ends up having unintended consequences with overtime and with health and wellness. And so it's like, I, because it has impacts in so other areas that are in our purview, I would hate to get rid of it completely, but I do agree that we don't need to make OPD update those numbers and report back on it all the time.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
definitely something that everyone would agree on, that they don't need to update it like for every meeting. I think that just hearing what you're saying right now, for me personally, I don't know how everyone else feels on the commission, but um, it would be helpful, excuse me, to have it kind of put in that context, like you're saying. Like, how does that affect those different areas? And that be something that they report out on from uh, that perspective.
Angle. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like I don't know, like just do it like that, and maybe like within that section of the template. I just was looking for it. I was going to pull it up. Maybe like rename that section to something, or put uh, a description there, exactly, you know, what to report out on, that kind of illustrates why that's even there. I think people, even just looking through it, you know, they're like, well, why is that there? That's public safety committee thing. That's kind of like my initial impression too. But I hear you how that that impacts different areas of our purview. Maybe not necessarily. Well, I hear you. All I'm saying is that maybe we could reword it so that we could.
Okay. Yeah, definitely something worth considering. I mean, I certainly think that more than anything, it's a transparency type thing, right? Is, you can't have union presidents saying that staffing is such an issue when you got 100 officers on admin leave, and that the union and the police department is not making any efforts to reduce that number, right? And that number just stays the same. Luckily, Chief Beer has been doing a good job and has been making phone calls and just getting people back to work and giving them desk jobs, and then putting people, sworn officers that were doing those desk jobs, back on the streets. So again, those are the things that we want to see. And it is, I agree, more under Public Safety Committee's purview. Um, but it gives us a glance of stuff. It gives the community, because again, it's like transparency for the community, because if the community doesn't get that information, where are they mining and getting that information from, and it
Public
puts up.
safety is what people would argue.
Yeah.
But what it would be helpful for me if you could put something on the template, like a description of exactly what you're kind of looking for with that information. I know some people are like, "Hey, take it off," and then you have like people like yourself that are like, "Well, it's helpful to look at it from this perspective." And I think that it is kind of helpful to look at it from the perspective of how you just elaborated on it.
Yeah.
If you don't, if you have time, or we can just talk about it in the meeting. We don't have time for another ad hoc meeting before our next meeting, so it's all going to come up during the next time at our next meeting when it's an agenda item.
Yeah, and I could certainly have a conversation with DC Osmus about it too, just around one of those things that we're kind of trying to figure out the cadence. I mean, maybe we just put it in, we create a section that's called like quarterly updates, and then we just put it in a section with all things that are just being updated quarterly, that we're not discussing all the time, and we're
Yeah.
clear what those are.
I guess we could do something like that. I was kind of hoping to make the template as simple as possible, and then maybe like a quarterly or annual, biannual stuff, that be on some separate list, and not try to put everything in the template, you
That
know?
makes sense too. That makes sense too. Well, and if we could identify that there's other reports that OPD is either providing to us, to public safety, because what if those staffing and admin leave numbers get reported in a report that public safety asks for, twice a year or something?
Yeah,
Then all we want is just CC us and give us visibility on that report twice a year.
yeah.
You don't have.
And they could coincide their readout to us when they're doing it to public safety.
Correct. Correct.
They
Yeah.
get
So I
cleared at
think.
the same time, so they don't have to research numbers, multiple times.
Yep. So I think that'll be the conversation that I have with DC around that too, is like, is any of this information that we're asking for, does it pop up in reports that you all are already putting together for either other bodies or other offices, whether it's CPRA, IG, Public Safety Committee, right? And then we can take it off knowing that we'll be looped in on those when they come out, and we'll have access to that info, whatever it is, quarterly or twice a year.
Yeah, and then maybe even once we figure that out, maybe collaborate with Council Member Wong on, when they're having, if they have upcoming dates of reports already.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because I mean, And again, it could even be a line, let's say, I don't know, this might be too much, but maybe a line in the template that said admin leave. And on that line, it says, you know, twice a year report to public safety committee. And then we know that doesn't even get discussed on our template, but we know that to ask OPD so that we're reminded to ask them a couple times a year to have visibility when that report is ready, but we know where to find it.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful too.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have. Anything else from anybody?
Just a, just a clarification question. I may have missed it. Chair, are we adding this to the agenda or for this
What?
one, or we would
Which
the
one? The
template?
template?
The template.
No, I still have to have this discussion with
Lisa. Okay,
yeah, with
that's
DC
right.
Office, and then bring back
Yes.
whatever I find to committee.
Okay,
Okay, got
so we're not going to do it for the second meeting this month, but you guys are going to do it at a future meeting.
it. Yeah, we're targeting 6/11, so
Okay,
June
Yeah,
11th.
and
I
then
think that works.
what about the MOU proposal? We're going to do that at the next meeting, though, right?
I think that one was more time pressing because we want
Yeah,
to get that.
and there's not really anything new to discuss. I wish that I had when when Commissioner Grio was bringing that up, how he wants to go over it again. We did discuss the same thing the last time that Micah put the MOU in the agenda. I heard the same thing said. So this isn't going to be like. I really appreciate his attention to it, and I was even thinking of calling him about this. But we're not going to go through that and line by line. We want this, we want that. This isn't that kind of thing. What we had all agreed to do was just to have a few really concrete recommendations and present those. And that was really the only feedback from commissioners on that document that I can think of. Um, so I think we're ready to go. I think even if we had made a motion to vote on it at the last meeting, that it would have passed anyway. But I think we definitely need to have that on the agenda for the next meeting. Do you
Okay,
agree with that, Ricardo?
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't find it on mute. Yeah, that works.
okay, and that will be your vote. Got it.
And then I missed the very
Any,
first part of the meeting. You guys felt good about the final edits that Katina did on the CMT statement?
Yeah, no, we went through the statement line by line, myself and IG, and it looks good to both of us. IG just wanted to add like that one bullet point about past work. And I was thinking of maybe adding the template info, but it's not like some huge thing. I don't think it's a huge thing for the judge whether or not that's there or not, so it's fine by me. I saw some areas where it said IAD instead of IAB, okay? Like stuff like that, like little tiny details.
Okay.
And I think even if that stuff is left, it's not like some big deal. I saw an area, I think in the first paragraph, where I think there was supposed to be a the in the sentence. That was it. So it looks great. Thank you for getting with Katina to finalize that.
Cool. Cool. No, thank you for all the work on it, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to try to be at the CMC, but my daughter's graduation from high school is that night. I don't know if we're going to be doing something before. I believe the CMC starts at like 3 or 3:30. I don't remember. I assume that it's 3. And I know it doesn't go for that long, but still, it's a lot of things to pack into a day, and I want to make sure I'm focused on, uh,
Your
my
baby.
stuff too. So I may or may not be there. IG said he's going to be there. I don't know what Shawana's plans are. I'm going to assume that Director Lawson wants to be there, but that's all I know about that. Are you going to get with Commissioner Grillo and go over some talking points, or do you want to get together and go over talking points? Is that helpful for you?
Yeah, I'll get offline with both you and him, see if we got some thoughts.
Yeah, I think tapping into his knowledge from the bench is really very helpful, very insightful, and I would soak all that up. So I think that's a great opportunity. But is there anyone from the public here, Micah?
No.
All right. I have nothing else. Thank you all for being here. Your busy schedules making time for this. Meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.
Are you going, Commissioner Farmer, are you going to forward? I gave Katina a heads up that she would be getting something from you guys afterwards. So she said, okay.
IG,
To
can you
make
do it since it's your input?
Yes, I already drafted it. I'm just ready to hit send. I was going to send it directly to you, Commissioner Farmer, or do
You
you want
can,
me to send it
you can
to?
send it directly to Katina. You can send it to
Uh-huh.
everybody and just
Yeah.
CC us, you know?
Will do.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.